So the next talk is by Goran Marjanović. I will give a short introduction about him. Yes, you can give a round of applause to him. Goran was born in Sarajevo, Bosnia. He completed his electrotechnical school, low power current department in Croatia in 1974 and graduated in 1981 from the Faculty of Transport and Traffic Engineering in Belgrade, Serbia. The following year, he obtained the title of Reserve Liaison Officer at the Military Officer Academy in Belgrade. He has combined his technical background with a lifelong interest in advanced scientific and metaphysical research. Since 2016, he has been teaching courses on quantum medicine and complementary treatment methods at the School of Public Health. For more than 40 years, he has been an independent researcher dedicated to exploring and reconstructing Nikola Tesla's legacy. In his own laboratory for Tesla's Aether technologies, he has built numerous devices aimed at experimentally verifying Tesla's concept, as well as testing the postulates of his own quantum energy density model, a theoretical framework unifying the material and spiritual dimensions of absolute reality. As part of various international research teams and through independent field work over the past 2 decades, he has conducted energy measurements on pyramidal and sacred structures across Europe, comparing and integrating the wisdom of ancient civilizations with contemporary findings in scalar and torsion field physics. So with this, I welcome you for the talk, and the title of his talk is Human and Artificial Intelligence, Tesla Technologies and Quantum Computers. Thank you.
Thank you for coming here for this very interesting and I would say very important conference. At the very beginning, let us remember that Samkhya philosophy is one of the oldest geophysical systems in India, estimated to be around 12,000 years old. Its founder is intellectual colossus Maharishi Kapila. Samkhya is a philosophy of dualism in which there are 2 basic principles. First is Prakriti, or material nature. It is the passive principle of nature, the unconscious substance that forms the basis of all material existence. It is composed of 3 gunas, each with one own qualities, sattva, rajas, and tamas, that constantly interact and balance each other, change and evolve, which lead to the various manifestations in the world. Second principle is Purusha, unchanging and timeless, pure conscience, a spiritual principle of or eternal phenomenon that is separate from the material world, an observer and witness to the activities of Prakriti, but not an active participant in them. According to Samkhya philosophy, the world and beings develop through a process of evolution which is initiated by the interaction of Purusha and Prakriti through manifestations that develop into 8 basic principles. That's cosmic intelligence, ego, mind, intellect, and 5 basic elements: earth, water, fire, air, and akasha. This is a physical basis that is further elaborated by the ancient Greeks up to modern teachings. The evolution of Prakriti begins only with the presence of Purusha, which by its proximity makes Prakriti come alive and begin creation. Although Purusha is a passive principle, its presence acts as a trigger and Prakriti becomes disturbed and begins manifestation from Mahat, cosmic intellect, through Ahamkara, ego, all the way to the 5 elements of the senses of the mind and the mind. Regarding Upanishadic cosmogony, external universe consists of several interpenetrating energy levels. levels of consciousness, in essence, called lokas. First is physical world, in which we gain knowledge about objects through the senses of sight, hearing, touch, smell, and taste. Second is astral world, which permeates the earthly plane. Vibrations in that world are faster than vibrations of the physical plane and is made up of elementals. That's a Mendeleev's elements analogy, but in a subtler form. Third level is mental world, the world of thought, a realm of intense ideation. Everything a person desires is directly materialized through thought instantly, whereby each person builds his own heaven according to his possibilities, desires, and fantasies. Next four levels are supramental worlds, which are accessible only to self-realized human beings. These four highest worlds are of very fast vibrations and are completely beyond the reach and power of comprehension of ordinary human beings. Finally, the highest level of consciousness is absolute reality. The Supreme God in His unmanifested and undifferentiated unity, which contains all possibilities before divine creation. In this table, we can see a comparative view of the levels of existence according to Upanishadic cosmogony, Christian cosmogony, Helena Blavatsky theosophy, and the corresponding quantum levels according to the energy density quantifying model. This energy density quantifying model, of which I am the author, connects the phenomena of the world outside us, our nearest surrounding, the world inside us, but also the spiritual aspect of our reality. Namely, all of these are just segments of our absolute reality, and I concluded that there must be something that they have in common. I got an idea that it might be the energy density. The first calculations showed that the phenomena of macro and micro worlds respect the same law because they are positioned on the same line. That's a diagram on the left. And their positions are not random, but are very, very regular and quantized. Further analysis, that's a diagram on the right, show that stable objects can exist permanently in space and time, only in some kind of resonance state, only if their energy is in precisely defined relationship with the part of space it fills, where the stable object's mass is approximately equal to the square of its radius. Here, on the energy space diagram, it is clearly seen that all macro objects are located in the second quadrant, micro objects in the third, and that the area of the fourth quadrant, the area of very small dimensions and very low frequencies, belongs to the spiritual aspect of reality. Since science only explains material phenomena up to the level of the photons as the last material object in that is measurable and detectable for science, I had to look for answers in ancient knowledge. I found them in the text of Mr. Peter Vujicin and Gopala Srinivasan's Secret of Sankhya. The synthesized informations from these sources I have imported into the energy space diagram so that now all phenomena of the spiritual aspect of reality can be described by the same parameters, physical parameters, mass, radius, frequency, etc., as the phenomena of the material world, although they are virtual or imaginary here, but still can serve us for comparison and association links. It is very interesting that the Christian and Upanishadic cosmogonies describe the structure of absolute reality in a completely analogous way regarding levels of consciousness and their basic structures, differing only in terminology. What turned out to be most interesting in the spirit-matter transitional area, that's down left on the diagram, which corresponds to the zone between quantum levels 8 and 9. If we now zoom in that area, we can see that it belongs to the domain of electromagnetic waves from quantum level 8, that is photon, quantum carrier of electromagnetic waves, up to the area of the brain waves, alpha, beta, gamma, etc., at the quantum level 10. But for a long time, I couldn't find adequate scientific data for that area until the moment when I came across Nikola Tesla patent, in which he clearly states that he does not work with the Hertzian waves, that means quantum level 8 and lower, and recommends frequencies from 6 Hz to 20,000 Hz, which expressed in wavelengths exactly corresponds to the area of wavelengths of quantum level 9, which I, in honor of Tesla, named Tesla waves, and their elementary quantum phenomenon KEYNOTE, Teslion. So, the Tesla wave region belongs to the second loci, to astral level, which is a transitional area, a bridge, a connection between the first loci, the physical world, and the third loci, the lower mental world, that is between matter and spirit. And finally, now we can clearly see why Nikola Tesla and his ether technologies are so important. Namely, here we see that the basic fluid of the material world is the electromagnetic field, whose quantum carrier is the photon. Of the spiral world is Akasha, whose elementary quantum is Mula Prakriti, and that the basic fluid of the astral world is ether, whose elementary quantum is the phenomenon K9. Therefore, Tesla waves, Tesla scalar waves, as longitudinal waves of potentials, gain their full scientific and logical meaning as a connection between the material and spiritual segments of reality. This picture shows the structure of the entire absolute reality, which contains the space-time energy relations of all phenomena of reality, regardless of whether they are of a material, particle wave, or spiritual nature, from the universe in its final stage of evolution to its original source, superconsciousness, absolute reality, that is Brahman. As more than interesting, I highlight the fact that man is placed in the position of the golden ratio, and the fact that the board area of material spirit, I called it hyperdimensional equator, is at the position corresponding to the frequency of 1 Hertz, which is the rhythm of the human heart. What sounds very inspiring. The depth of Tesla insights into the structure of absolute reality is best demonstrated by his words. The day science begins to study non-physical phenomena, it will make more progress in 1 decade than in all the previous centuries of our existence, of its existence. Connection between Vedic teachings and Nikola Tesla's thoughts is very obvious. The Vedas speak of the universal laws of nature, energy, vibrations, and the interconnectedness of everything in the universe. Tesla believed that the universe functions on the principles of energy, frequencies, and vibrations. According to the concepts of Sankhya philosophy, all processes at all levels of existence are a result of volumetric three-dimensional vibrations of the primordial substance in the breathing mode. Structural identity of energy processes described in ancient knowledge and in Tesla's technologies is clearly seen from Tesla's writings in his diary, where Tesla describes his greatest discovery on July 4, 1899. Tesla said, "The Earth, like everything else, is in constant state of vibration. It is constantly contracting and expanding and could be made to respond with vibration to the lowest whisper of the human voice." In GIF animation, we see Tesla explanation of his principle of wirelessly sending energy by his world radio station, the Wardenclyffe Tower, which is completely analogous to the Vedic three-dimensional volumetric vibrations in the breathing mode. The connection between Vedic teachings and Tesla technologies. In the book of man's greatest achievements, oh, something is... in the book of man's greatest achievements, Tesla says, all perceptible matter comes from a primary substance or tenuity of beyond conception, filling all space, the akasha or luminiferous ether, which is acted upon by the living, life-giving prana or creative force, calling into existence in never-ending cycles and things and phenomena. And the New York Times article, Tesla said, light cannot be anything else but a longitudinal disturbance of the ether, involving alternate compressions and rarefactions. In other words, light can be nothing else than a sound wave in the ether. In this GIF animation, we see the propagation of sound waves if the process of longitudinal compression and expansion take place in the air. But if the medium is not air, but is ether, the same mechanism describes the propagation of light. Here is illustrated the full analogy of three-dimensional volumetric stationary waves of Sankhya and Tesla's ball lightnings. The first and 10th sutra of Sankhya are listed in the upper part of the text on this slide from Tesla's diary, in which he explains the mechanism of his ball lightning in the lower part. Although the terminology is not identical, it is absolutely clear seen that the structural matrix of the described processes is completely analogous. The highest achievement of human thought today is quantum computers. Isaac Chuang was a key member of the team that built the world's first functioning quantum computer, including a 2-qubit system in 1998 at Berkeley, and later a 7-qubit system at IBM in 2001. These were unstable experimental devices. They maintained a state of quantum superposition for a short time, but they proved that quantum data processing is possible. In 2019, the American technology giant Google developed a 53-qubit superconducting processor called Sycamore. In May 2021, the Chinese created a quantum computer called Yuzhang, a 62-qubit quantum processor that they claim can process information 10 billion times faster than Google Sycamore, or 100 trillion times faster than the most advanced supercomputers today. So, Yuzhang can complete tasks in minutes, while supercomputers would take thousands of years to do so. Today, Atom Computing Corporation has a quantum computer with 1,180 qubits, a Guinness World Record for the largest number of usable qubits. In June 2025, a Chinese company activated a 1,000 qubit system, placing China among the few nations with such capabilities. A quantum computer is a type of computer that uses the principle of quantum mechanics to process data. Quantum computers use qubits, that's a short for quantum bit, instead of traditional binary bits, allowing them to process huge amounts of data simultaneously and solve the problem much faster than the classical computers. Basic concepts of quantum computers are qubits. While classical computers use bits 0 or 1, quantum computers use qubits, which can be in both 0 and 1 state at the same time. Unbelievable, but that is our experimental reality. Thanks to the phenomenon of superposition. Superposition is a concept by which a qubit can be in multiple different states at the same time, allowing for parallel processing of a large number of possibilities. Third concept of quantum computing is quantum entanglement. Qubits can be interconnected so that changing one instantly affects the other regardless of distance, which allow much faster computing. Advantages of quantum computers is a faster solving of complex problems, factorization of numbers, optimization, etc. And their limitations and challenges are instantability of qubits. Quantum systems are very sensitive to external influences which lead to errors. They require extremely low temperatures, close to the absolute zero. So these systems are very, very expensive and available only to those who have extremely developed technologies and have a lot of money. Now we go back to the human being. Basic characteristics of human mind are inventiveness, the ability to create new, original ideas, solutions, or products using knowledge, combining the already seen, but in a new, different, and more efficient way. Creativity is the ability to produce new and valuable ideas, concepts, or solutions in which a person uses his mind, imagination, and intuition to create something that is unique and unexpected. Consciousness is ability of an individual to be able to be aware of his thoughts, feelings, and the external world. It includes several different aspects. Self-awareness, the ability to be aware of ourselves, perception, the ability to perceive the world around us, and cognition, the ability to think, make decisions, solve problems, etc. Thought is a phenomenon of consciousness, which represents the basic function of mind and includes conscious and unconscious cognitive activities. Thought is the result of the work of the brain and cognitive processes, so that it simultaneously exists on the physical level as a physical process associated with the neuronal activity in the brain. Thought as a subjective, immaterial experience of consciousness cannot be fully explained through physical biological processes based on the work of the brain and neural networks. The key question is, how can any physical process in the brain create a subjective experience? Science has no adequate number, but ancient teachings offer us their insights. According to Samkhya philosophy, the structure of the human being is absolutely consistent with the structure of absolute reality at all its levels of existence. So, our being is also an energetic, multi-layered being. The roughest level is physical body, most primitive form, at the same time the most visible and most material of all layers. The next level is energy body, which refer to our energetic vital components, which is responsible for moving the physical body and sustaining life and health. The third layer of the human being is mental body, that is more subtle than the previous two. This layer is still part of everyday reality because it is directly connected to our everyday experience, from decisions making to emotional reactions. The fourth layer of the human being is intellectual layer or layer of wisdom. This layer is more subtle than the previous three and refer to the mind, which is responsible for rational thinking, intellect, intuition, and deeper mental abilities. The most subtle aspect of our being is a layer of bliss or a layer of joy. This layer is also the highest level of consciousness and refer to our spiritual aspect closest to the Atman, the real self, our essential identity. Here we see a parallel representation of the described system of energetic layers of being that surround our soul, known, jiva, as the five koshas, with corresponding world of existence, quantization levels, mediums, and dominant vital principles at appropriate levels of existence. The fact that there is a great harmony of ancient knowledge, Tesla's insights, and modern science is confirmed by the following facts. Regarding ancient knowledge, there is no limit to the speed of propagation of stress in medium. Regarding Nikola Tesla, longitudinal waves would be propagated with infinite velocity. And regarding modern science, quantum entanglement is a connection between two distant particles that became inseparably linked, so that a change in one causes an instantaneous change in the other, no matter how far apart they are. And finally, we can point to the harmony of science and art. For modern science, light behave like a quantum fluid, but science has found a similar insight in art also. In Van Gogh's painting, The Swirling Sky, also known as the Starry Night, modern science has recognized something analogous to turbulent fluids and patterns of energy movement in nature, which remind to the motion of quantum fluids such as Bose-Einstein condensates. So, the spiral and vortices in the swirling sky can be seen as a visualization of energy circulating through space. If we remember Tesla words, light can be nothing more than a sound wave in the ether, we can see that the modern physics description of light as a turbulent quantum fluid is a concept that is intertwined with Tesla's ideas about longitudinal volumetric vibrations of his ether fluid. So, I asked artificial intelligence to modify Van Gogh's painting in accordance with Tesla's ideas, and here is the result. In the modified painting, Swirling Sky, generated by artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, in Van Gogh's vibratory shadows of blue, purple, and gold, stars and clouds swirl in energetic vortices, while on the ground, Nikola Tesla stands upright, illuminated by his ball lightnings that emanate from his hands and twist toward the sky, merging with the cosmic vortices, thus symbolizing the solid and direct connection between art, science, and the energy of the universe. And finally, conclusion. Tesla's ideas about the ether, the latest insights of modern science about quantum fluids, as well as ancient Vedic knowledge, can be linked together the common ideas of energy, vibration, and motion. All these are the achievements of the human spirit in the exploration of the deep universal truth that Van Gogh reached through intuition and art, and Tesla through his research work. Their contributions show that art and science are not separate worlds, but different expressions of the same universal search for understanding the world, where man will have the possibility of evolution and development towards higher aspect of his own being, his vital, mental, and intellectual components, up to the complete self-knowledge and unification with the eternal universal self, Atman. While the creativity of the artificial intelligence, limited by the qualities and parameters of the physical world, will likely exceed man's capabilities on a physical level many times over, but will still remain at the level of inventiveness and combinatorics, which in any case can be of great benefit to us in the scientific and technological progress of civilization. In any case, the unification of science and spirituality enable us to gain a deeper understanding of the principles by which divine thought manifests itself through the architects of the visible world and imprints it into the cosmic substance in the form of laws of nature, from where the great Tesla mirrored them in his devices. The power of modern technology, quantum computers, and artificial intelligence, combined with the ancient knowledge and ether principles of Nikola Tesla, with the evolution of consciousness as the key component of the human being, are the best path to the further development of civilization. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much
And
for
now,
the...
excuse me, we have
Yes.
maybe 2 minutes
Sure.
addition. I want to show you something very interesting for you and the maybe wider audience. Professor Abramovich and I established a laboratory for psychological, physical measurements and do a lot of experiments in Belgrade. But before 2 months, we do some measurements in the Bosnia, in Visoko, in the foundation of a Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, where we take our equipment. We have EEG with which we can measure and register brain waves, and one scale, a very sensitive scale, which can measure up to 200 kilograms, but in a resolution of hundreds of grams. So we try to see, regarding hypothesis from the model, that there is a possibility to interaction between human mind, stones, and his physical aspect. We know for the experiment, which is named 21 grams, which were measurements before, I think, 100 years, where was registered change when people die, human being die, that he lost in his weight 21 grams. And that's phenomenon is named McDougall's soul, because this was measurement of Dr. Dougal in Massachusetts, and he get that number after death of I don't know how much patients which die, and the difference in their weight was 21 gram. But regarding knowledge from Sankhya, soul or jiva in original is not manifested phenomenon. It belongs to the third loka and can interact with our physical world. But transitional area where we have the aspect of our being which named astral double is made of elementals which are subtly a form of our Mendeleev's particles, elements, and can be measured somehow in some kind of shadow. So I think that this interaction between the human thoughts, human mind, with the physical aspects of his body and absolutely physical reality is measurable. So model predicts change when astral double left our body. So human being have not to die to lose his weight, but in deep meditative states where when astral double go somehow to travel through this world, then it is possible to register the changes in the weight. So we do that, and our measurements show very interesting results, and Dr. Osman Anđigić summarized our measurements, and it is published in the Journal of Clinical Psychology and Neurology as a scientific article work. You can find that, but wider informations you can find on the different platforms like Academia Edu, etc., etc. Here is one sample what we do. There are teams lot in our world we do that measurements in changes in the weight. For example, Dr. Klaus Volkamer do that measurements, but they measured only changes of weight of a human being in a deep meditative state, and different teams do measurements changes in wave brains during meditation, but we are only the team on the world which do that simultaneously in the same time. We measure in the real time brain waves, analyze them, and changes in the weight of the human being. This is one patient, and you can see the brain waves which are very, very left and the right side of hemisphere are harmonized, looking like they are copy-paste. They are almost the same. That means that's the left and right hemisphere are absolutely harmonized. And you can see that these brain waves are somehow modulated in a very, very slow frequency. We have a lot of details in these measurings and analysis of EEG software. But what is interesting is that a person which succeed to go so deep in their meditation that they reach a theta state below 6 hertz, almost you can see changes in the weight of this patient from beginning to the end. The changes was, I think, about 60 grams. His weight lowered for 60 grams. You can see that on the diagram. We have 37 measurements, and 7 of them succeed to reach that deep state. But that was a person which usually practice meditation. But some of them not. But they said that they pray to God, to his God. There was Christians and Muslims. They have different gods, but they pray to their gods, and they succeed to reach some meditative state and lost their awareness. So I will ask Professor Abramovich to help us to do very short commentary and what we intend to do in the next.
Couple of minutes. So we have the laboratory with some apparatuses, and those apparatuses. Thank you. So one is electroencephalograph, by which we can register brain waves and a certain range and the change of the range in time, in amplitude, in frequency, and in the phase. So we have complete control on the change of the state of mind by registering those brain waves. So what we actually, and Mr. Marko Grčić can, because he was also measured and he lost like 80 grams in a meditative state. So we have a witness here. And other people also. But what was added in Visoko was this all-field, it's contrast, interference, contrast camera, which actually can register the aura. So the range of light which human body is radiating, but which is not visible by eyes. So we have full information about the aura, changing on the aura, about the changing of the state of the mind, and what is very strange, actually, the change of weight, which went to 100 grams, which is very easy to measure. So what is the conclusion? That actually, by state of mind, you can levitate. Thank you.
Thank you. Quite interesting. Do we have questions? Any questions? Okay, maybe I start with one.
Everything is clear.
I have something unclear. So this experiment where you lose, where you observe a loss in weight, was the time period where you observed this loss in weight? I'll come.
I didn't hear.
Under what time scale do you see this change in
That's the last
weight?
15 minutes.
In 15?
Measurements will last about 15 minutes.
Okay. Okay, wonderful. So we have another question here.
Yeah, thank you very much for this presentation. So to this experiment, does the weight then come back when they come out of the meditation? Okay.
Yes, after some time.
Do you have the time scale?
Yes. Unfortunately, come back, yes. I will show you later one picture. One man which experiment with Dr. Klaus Wallkammer, he's a yogin and he levitate. He lost 15 kilograms in a few minutes when he said that he would levitate. We also do a lot of measurements. This is one series of 47 examinations in the park, but we do that measurements in the Belgrade, and one our guest was Mr. Sal Raquel. He's the world's famous man who can meditate and he speak us about meditation, structure of human body. And in one moment I asked him, would you sit on my scale? And he said yes. And he speak us when he go to meditate and travel. He wasn't serious or I don't know where. He traveled, and in one moment he said, and now I will try to levitate. He speak with us, but I don't know, he was on the other world. His double, astral double travel somewhere. And he said, now I will levitate. And at that moment, I watched the scale. He lost 89 grams. No, 100. 108, yes, 108 grams. in that moment. How, we don't know, but we will try to explain this. We have a model which connect this, and we can, all this you see, that all of these phenomena for spiritual aspect of reality, we can describe them with the physical parameters of conventional science. I said that they are imaginary. Soul is not, doesn't weigh 10 power minus 45, I think, grams, but that's a number which describes that phenomenon. Soul has not weight. This is not manifest phenomenon. But if it would be, then it would be 10 minus 9. But we can make these relations one to each other and get new knowledge. And using Tesla technology, I am sure that a very short time we will connect these two words, material and spiritual, that will be connected. Now, they are already connecting via our being, not artificial intelligence, but if we use emotional intelligence, we can communicate with that aspect of our reality now. But someone can, someone no, but Tesla technologies will allow us to have a phone to speak with the other side. We promise that to you.
Thank you. Any more questions? Okay, more, okay.
So the Tesla waves were over the radio waves by the wavelengths?
Wavelength is not important. What here, you have, for example, 1 kilohertz frequency. But 1 kilohertz of vibrations or of air molecules we hear with our ears as a sound. But if we have electromagnetic wave of 1 kilohertz, we cannot hear them. We need some device, some antenna or something, some probes to catch them and watch on oscilloscope. But cannot hear them. Why? Because this is a different medium. This is air which vibrate, and this is electromagnetic field which vibrate. But if we have the ether which vibrate, then that's Tesla waves, and some kind of shadow of that vibration, we can hear Tesla waves and see them on the oscilloscope. Believe me, we can show that experimentally.
So it's electromagnetic wave, yeah?
This is a subclear form of electromagnetic waves. Ether is a subclear form of electromagnetic field, as the same mechanism as Akasha is a subclear form of ether. And Akasha vibrations we know as chi, prana, tralala. But we cannot measure them. But ether vibration we can. What we can measure is a vibration of electromagnetic waves, of mechanical waves, which are sound. But ether is a subtler and especially deeper form of existence or conscience, we can say.
So it's not about building a larger
Tesla
antenna.
doesn't work with Hertzian waves. That's the key information. Quantum level 8 is a photon as a quantum carrier, and you start with the electromagnetic waves, optical waves, gamma, etc., etc. Tesla said, I don't use that, and recommend the frequencies below this spectrum of electromagnetic waves, below the photon. Subtly phenomenon of photon is phenomenon K9, which I named Tesla. And more subtly is Mula Prakriti, which is a quantum carrier of the Akasha. So Akasha vibrations are in essence of all what we later see in rougher form, close to the material aspect of our reality, which we can measure with our devices which we have today. But the devices which we have inside of us, we can communicate with these high aspects of reality. For example, we communicate in this physical world using sound, electromagnetic waves, etc., etc. But our soul can communicate with this reality, with our ears, eyes, mouth, etc., etc. but our soul can communicate with higher form of reality using a vehicle which is named emotion. Without electromagnetic waves, without sound, we can communicate, and we know that in practice, that we communicate via emotions. On the someone with whom we are connected emotionally, we get impressions, pictures of that person. Maybe it can be in Australia. we know that from the practice. We use that mechanism, but we don't know. And the vehicle for the communication on the third level, third loca, on the mental causal world, is intuition. And intuition can bring you much far than any knowledge to get ideas directly from where? What is a basic medium on the third mental causal level? Akasha. What we have in Akasha? Akasha records, morphogenetic field, everything what happened before 5 million years on any galaxy in this universe, we can reach that experience on human beings which live in that time, in that position. All the knowledge of all civilizations are imprint in that morphogenetic field in Akasha. But you cannot reach them using your rational mind, your eyes, yes. But using intuition, you can directly connect to that knowledge.
But for the alpha waves, beta, these are
Yes.
the brain waves, yeah?
Yes. But you can see it is a very short time. But we have frequencies and levels, and you can plan your activities.
Thank you so much. Big round of applause for the speaker. Very nice, interesting
you,
talk.
thank you.
I mean, there is time at the end to interact with the speakers where we can do it.